Hey everybody, we are talking about the alternate series of albums from Fleetwood Mac. Stick around and we'll dive in. Hey everybody, so recently for Record Store Day drop number 2, Fleetwood Mac released the Alternate Rumours. This has been an ongoing series and one that I've been collecting now for 5 years from one of my favorite bands of all time. I really love Fleetwood Mac. Enjoy the different eras. I mean, the Buckingham-Nicks classic lineup is the one that I think I like the best, and I know a lot of other folks prefer that one. Most folks probably prefer that one. They obviously have the bluesy lineup, the early lineup, but they I want to say 5 years ago, so it's 2016 for Record Store Day, put out an alternate version of Tusk, and I believe the timing of that was shortly after they put out a box set which had a lot of alternate tracks and additional recordings that hadn't been released before or had only been in a limited case. And they took all the tracks and made selections of those and did a song for song lineup comparison to the original Tusk album with different album artwork and stuff, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's a unique listen. I think each album gives you just a little insight into the song, a little different take on the song. In some cases, they're just demo versions, so they're just very stripped down, not a lot of additional elements, just maybe the band tooling around in the studio a little bit. But lacking maybe the overdubs or the extra production work that went into it. In some cases, the songs are pretty fleshed out, and they were just the versions they opted not to go with. So I thought it was a pretty cool concept. I picked up, as I said, Tusk when it came out, and they took an odd way to go for full circle with the Buckingham-Nicks lineup. Starting with Tusk, doing the two albums after that, and then coming back around to the first two. So I'm actually going to go in order of chronologically from the start of the Buckingham-Nicks album up until when Lindsey Buckingham left, just to kind of give you a sense. It's just a quick overview of what they did. So obviously the first album that came out back in the 70s. This was after Lindsey Graham and Stevie Nicks joined the band. Was just the self-titled Fleetwood Mac album. This has classic tracks like Rhiannon on it, Monday Morning. It really kind of set the stage for the next few that followed and took the sound in a slightly different direction. So last year, which was basically the fourth in the series, was the alternate Fleetwood Mac. So you can kind of get a sense of the difference in the album artwork. Again, the track listing, it's the same track listing side by side, but just a different version. So like side one starts out with Monday Morning, and it's just an early take. Landslide, which is on side 2, is just an early version. Rhiannon, which is on there, that's just an early take. So it just gives you some a different idea of what they were working on as they were going through this. Just this past weekend, I'm recording this in September of 2020, for Record Store Day Drop 2 came the Alternate Rumours. This is by far their most popular album. It's one of the most popular albums of all time. I mean, the original has sold 40 million copies. Songs like Don't Stop and Secondhand News and Go Your Own Way and The Chain. I mean, if you know anything about Fleetwood Mac, you've probably heard every one of these songs 100 times over. So it was really interesting to hear just some variations of that. So that's the original cover, and then this is the alternate. So you can kind of get a little side by side look at that. This is you get Secondhand News as an alternate version. Never Going Back Again is an acoustic demo, which is really nice. The Chain is a demo. So, it's kind of Gold Dust Woman early take. So, a nice little mix. I really like this. It sounds great. So the interesting thing is the increase. I'll talk a little bit about this. This one, they released 16,000 copies. Last year's was 12,500. So they've been going up each year kind of incrementally, and I think not only have they seen more interest in these year over year, but I think obviously leading up to those two albums, which are some of the more popular ones, they had to increase the press run on that. Tusk, the third album of the Buckingham-Nicks era, double album. They had been touring nonstop. There's a lot of stories of how the band was stressed out, and this was a real struggle to do, and it was long, and a lot of energy went into it. But it's good, and a lot of Fleetwood Mac fans think this might actually be one of their best albums, despite all the challenges. The band the relationships had become strained. But anyway, this is the alternate Tusk, so you can see the difference in the artwork compared to the original. Some really cool tracks on this. They just list the dates that they were recorded. Not a lot of track information included. I will say that what I thought was interesting is with Tusk, this version of it also includes the USC Trojan marching band with it. So it wasn't definitely not a demo. That's for sure. It might have been interesting to hear it without the band, just to kind of give you a sense of how different that song would have been. But this was a really nice way to kick off the alternate series, since they opted not to go in it completely sequentially. I believe 5,000 copies of this were pressed initially. So the second year of the alternate series covered the band's fourth album, and that's Mirage. This is not an original copy of Mirage, but a fairly recent repressing. It's got songs like Gypsy on it, Hold Me. It's a nice album. It's kind of, I guess, went back to a little bit, they dropping after doing a double album, they kind of took things back a little bit. But a nice album. It's definitely of, that era, probably not my favorite, but it's still solid. And then that is the alternate Mirage, so you can kind of get a sense of the different artwork, the different photo that they used, which is pretty cool. It sounds great. I actually just listened to this shortly before recording this video. And with this one, they released 6,500 copies of this one. So, 5,000 for year one, 6,500 for year two. And then the third in the line was Tango in the Night. Tango in the Night, last album of that original Buckingham-Nicks era, which was, they had multiple lineups over the years, but the most successful, of course, is that Buckingham-Nicks lineup. And this is the last album recorded with Lindsey Buckingham before he decided to take a bit of a break for a few years with the band. I believe they recorded this and then went on tour, but without Lindsey. It's a good album. I think this is actually the second best-selling Fleetwood Mac album of that era after Rumours. I could be wrong on that, but I thought I saw that recently. But that's the original artwork, and then this is the alternate version of Tango in the Night. it's a nice album. You know, you got tracks like Big Love on it, and Little Lies. Um, yeah, it's just a nice way, I guess. Even though it was halfway through the series, it is kind of a nice wrap if you're going to go chronologically on these. Um, this one had 8,500 copies, so they went from 5,000 to 65 to 85 to 12,005 to 16,000. So, but I think of the five, the one that pressed the most copies was the one that was almost hardest to get. My shop did not get a lot of them. They said it was really hard to come by. It looks like it's nearly impossible to find right now, other than through flippers. So I was glad I was able to get it. Really cool concept. I think this is something that other bands ought to consider for Record Store Day. You know, as a way to give you something a little bit different. You know, there's a lot of bands will just do straight repressings of albums. A lot of which are easy to come by. You know, I don't think we needed another copy of Rumors. I mean, there's 40 million of those things floating around. But if you know, to do something, if you want to do a Record Store Day release for Rumors, and what better way to do it than to just give you a different take on the classic album. You know, if you've never heard these before, I certainly would encourage you to try to track them down. You know, the unfortunate thing is those are Record Store Day exclusive releases, so there wasn't an intention to repress them at all. A number of the tracks on those I had heard previously. They were part of like deluxe CD editions. So if you check Spotify, if you check Amazon Music, you might be able to find some of those tracks digitally. You might be able to get affordable CD box sets or CD deluxe editions too, if you can't find the vinyl at a really good price. But I thought I'd share that with you. I enjoy them a lot, and you know, if you've got those, let me know in the comments. Give this video a like. I'd love it for you if you would subscribe to this channel and keep this conversation rolling. Thanks a lot.